Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Unpopular Review Entertainment. Tonight, we're going to be reviewing the one and only Police Academy from 1984, which led to a series of hilarious movies in the 80s. But let's see how it hits today because, man, how much things have changed. So join us. Joining me this evening, ladies and gentlemen, is none other than Mr. Mike Knox and Dope Land. Oh, that's an interesting name. That's an interesting name. What's going on, y'all?
What's going on, man? When you said you were going to do Police Academy, I
Yes.
was like, damn, am I getting that old that we're going to do Police Academy? Like, we're talking
Word up.
about a true 80s movie from the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
But the question you said in your opening monologue was, does it hit today? And that's what we're going to find out. So I'm happy to be here.
Yep.
I, I don't know how I feel. I'm kind of numb.
Well, this was quite an interesting movie, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because it comes from the era of riots and a whole bunch of crime going on, the David Dinkins era, the early Ronald Reagan era. So they put on this movie what making pretty much just putting on a situation where what if they open the doors for regular people to just join the police academy and become part of um the police and honestly like what they did is that they try to set it up as if it was like the worst of the worst people in society, but the thing about it is just that this movie was hilarious because of all of the jokes and just the ridiculousness that went on. This was one of those movies that it was, at least for back then, it was literally just filled with an enormous amount of comedy. However, a lot of this comedy, wow. Man, this is stuff that definitely just hit some racial points where people had pretty much just felt free to say a lot of the things that they could say back then, and I just found it incredibly interesting. So I'm curious to see how this plays along because I gotta be honest with you, I saw all of these movies, but I don't remember them. This was all when I was a kid. This was all, so like I'm very excited to see the rest. Because there's certain people in here that definitely resonated with me over the years, especially the guy that could do all the noises. The guy that does all the noises, like what?
He's talented. He's
He
talented.
is incredibly
That
talented
man is goaded.
If
because
That
he
man.
if he was really making them noises, then yes, he's very
Oh
very
no, he
talented.
was really
I
making those noises. He
no,
made a
mind you,
career out of
yeah,
making
Then
yes,
he's
those
incredible.
noises. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
because
he should have been paid top dollar for this. Then
yeah, because I mean, what I know that as we progress to the other movies, there's definitely a lot more because I felt that at least for this movie, a lot of his parts were pretty limited.
Hmm.
I felt like that there was definitely more to him because I mean, at least from what I remember, because I know that he's a big character. Mind you, they even turned this into a cartoon, and he was a big character in that cartoon. Like this thing was just hilarious and big at the time. But then at the same time, Andrew Dice Clay was one of the biggest
Right.
comedians at the time. So like,
So
this
was
stuff was
Gallagher.
yeah, you know what I mean? So like this stuff was it was incredible. And then and mind you, like all the jokes that they kept playing on the chief, the whole thing with the with the megaphone.
Hmm. Oh, with the when he put the brown shoe
Yeah,
polish. Yeah.
that was great. Oh man, but
Mm.
my favorite character of all of them was Hightower.
yes,
Hightower.
Moses
Yes.
Hightower. Oh my God.
What Hightower was the man because the thing I liked about Hightower was number one, shout out I am Groot.
Mr. Bubber Smith.
He was a florist. Word up.
That was the only part I laughed out loud. Was when they
Like
said, "What was your job?"
he was a
Florist.
florist. I was like,
that
what? Because I
made me
totally
laugh.
missed that
That
the
made me
first
laugh.
time. He was a florist, and he's just this big guy, this big, and then mind you, later on, he's like, "Yo, listen, I can't drive." And then Mahoney, shout out to Mahoney, takes him out, teaches him how to drive, and then the next day he's coming in just whipping that car, just wah, wah, wah,
Right.
wah, wah. But my favorite part was when he got out of the car, with that little step that he took, and how he just like adjusted his pants with all that swag. I was just like, go ahead, yes, go ahead, Hightower. And then unfortunately, we had a really really bad moment. Like that was shocking to me in my 2022 eyes when that white man said jigaboo. I
Yeah.
was just like, wow, you know what I mean? I was like, oh. But then when Hightower came in and flipped that car over, I was like, yes, go ahead, Hightower, go ahead, go ahead, because that whole thing was incredible. Definitely nowadays, I don't think. I mean, I'm curious because I'm talking too much right now, but I'm curious what y'all think because like I really enjoyed this movie and I could talk all day. So let me shut up and
No,
pass.
I think I was taken back of it being an 80s movie and hearing the word jigaboo, right? And just not that I heard it that was taking me back, how easily it was put in the script to be said, but it took me back. But then I also look at things differently than most people do, especially people from today, is that entertainment, comedy, especially more than anything, comedy and music are the two most subjective things we have in this world. It's like the looks of the eyes of the beholder. What's pretty to me may not be pretty to you, right? So when I watch this, and I say that to preference, I can't get over everyone's favorite Robert Downey Jr. I'm a dude playing another dude, because to me
That was
that was
hilarious.
that's 100% blackface.
It
And
was.
I thought it was 100% disrespectful.
It,
And to this day, I have never fully watched Tropic Thunder. But
what? So you didn't even watch it?
I refuse. I don't see how anybody, like you saying that's hilarious, can think that it's funny, but it's subjective.
You can't. You wouldn't
It's
see because
subjective.
you didn't watch it. So there's
Well,
no way
I
you
don't-
would know.
Well, let me rephrase it. I watched it. I didn't watch it and enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it.
You finished it.
I finished it. I didn't
Alright.
enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it.
I don't want to harp on that. Go ahead.
But my point in saying that is that, again, it's entertainment. It's subjective, right? And I'm a wrestling fan, so trust me, I know subjectivity more than a lot of people. I mean, they had Mexicans riding around on Juan Deeres, for heaven's sakes. Okay, it's subjective. What may be funny to me, like you mentioned earlier, Andrew Dice Clay. Today, Andrew Dice Clay would never have made it because he'd have been looked at as too vulgar. And I think that's the problem with today's world, is that I love the fact I can go back and watch a movie from 1984 and enjoy 1984 for what it was, and this dumb, crazy, kooky comedy that starred Miss Kim Cattrall herself, Miss Mannequin herself. I used to be in love with Kim Cattrall, then I watched Sex and the City, and it's like, ew, how could I ever have liked Samantha? I didn't get it. But in this movie and in Mannequin, Kim Cattrall was fine. Fact. But this movie, shout out to G.W. Bailey, Lieutenant Harris, who was also in Mannequin, who played the security officer in Nibbles and Gimbals, who played pretty much the same roles he played as Lieutenant Harris, and then Steve Guttenberg as Mahoney. Like, this movie had everything 80s in it to me. It was comedy. It was stupid. It was outrageous. It was far-fetched. It was racist. it was comedy, and from a comedy's perspective, I was entertained. Dope Land.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna hard.
Or that name from last week's show.
No.
Okay.
No, actually, that's how one of the two overseers / cadets was referred to, because he just wouldn't register. His name was Copeland, even though he went out of his way to introduce himself. But anyway, guys, this didn't hit for me, and I totally understand the preface of comedy is subjective, and this may have been too vulgar, but I like absurdity. I love vulgarity in comedy, and there's just something about the execution here that was a miss. And I don't want to, it's not any of the racist epithets that were used. It's not necessarily even the timing. It just wasn't that funny to me.
That's fair.
And it's in, and what the reason, and I really sat and tried to quantify what it is, because I couldn't put my finger on it. To me, this movie is like in the same style of like a Mel Brooks, like a Blazing Saddles. But Blazing Saddles the execution of Blazing Saddles was efficient. Spaceballs, it was effective, whilst this was not that. It didn't hit the mark.
It didn't hit for you. That's subjective.
You know what I'm saying? Subjectivity. And it is that same style of absurd comedy, very like an Adam Sandler sort of situation. He's very absurd. He's like gross out comedy, right? We can appreciate that even.
It's all about how it hits.
It all is all about how it hits, and this one just really didn't do it for me. I did mention the one time I laughed out loud was at Moses Hightower, just his straight man situation against kind of everybody else's absurdity, but him just, and he was absurd too, but there were some moments that he just, specifically the one where he's like, oh, I was a florist before this. Like, that was so funny to me. I don't know why that piece stood out for me, but it really did. And all of his little moments were pretty funny to me because he was just looking at everyone like they were just kind of like a peon. And he's just this big buff guy who, yeah, like I would imagine he would pass the academy with flying colors. Like, this is I don't know. It's just this. I mean, I did not get the hype at all behind
not even Lieutenant. I mean, not even Private Hooks.
She was popular for that. She is so cute. I swear, man.
I think she was. I think she was a cute girl. I think that she's probably a talented actress. I'd like to see what else she's done.
Nothing else.
She might have been, because she looked kind of familiar. She looked kind of familiar.
I know she was in all 6 movies. She's known for
Police Academy.
Okay. Yeah. I like the concept of the support a black woman who kind of is more reserved and quiet and doesn't quite just like and helping her get there. But even that, like, it just wasn't as funny as I felt like it should have been. And these 80s movies that are in this style typically still hit even today, even the parts that are like more like cringy. You're still laughing at it. But this movie didn't hit for me at all. I'm not excited to watch any of the other ones.
I think there's 6 or 7 of them too. There's 6.
Only 6?
Yeah, only 6.
Okay, praise God.
That was the City Under Siege.
8 or 9.
City Under Siege.
Okay, I feel a little bit better. I thought it was like 8 or 9. And
I love 3 though. That's what I thought it was. Back in.
Okay. Okay, so there is one that I thought one was the one that is kind of the one that everybody thinks of with this series, but I guess you said it's 3. Well, I look forward to seeing that one. Hopefully that one is the one that convinces me. But
I wonder if you would like Revenge of the Nerds.
My boyfriend asked me that same thing, and honestly, I don't remember.
Because one of the dumbest lines in movie history I laugh at all the time, when the ogre got high on the beach, and he said, they were so high, he said, what if CAT really spelled dog? And I don't know why that's just funny to me. Just how ogre says it was hilarious to me.
Okay, I guess I'll have to.
That's what we want to do. You had to been there. You know,
I guess.
It's one of those things.
I guess.
Let's take our first break. We're going to come right back, give our thumbs ups, our thumbs downs, final thoughts as well of this movie and our new franchise this month, Police Academy. That guy chose it. So look to him, Dopeland. Okay. But I'm enjoying it. We're going to talk about it as we be right back here on Popular View Entertainment.
They've taken to the streets. They're the graduates of Police Academy, turned loose on their first assignment. Last year, they were in training.
Time to deploy for school.
I'll go when I'm ready.
You're ready now, mister.
This year, they're in charge. Police Academy, their first assignment.
Welcome back to UPRE tonight. We're starting a new chapter, Police Academy.
Worldwide.
Well, I find it interesting.
Prestige. Worldwide.
Chosen by your favorite host, Vic.
I'm not sure if he actually likes this movie though, Doblin, because he don't even
He
have a name.
does.
He ain't got a special name. He always has a special name when he
He
likes
usually
something a lot.
does. He usually
Right.
does. Or
Well,
if
no,
he
see, you know what I
doesn't know
like
what else
about
to do.
you know what I like about this? That here's the thing, because yeah, just like I
Here's the
said in my
thing.
video, here's the thing: the notion of regular people joining the police academy, because this thing
Mhm.
was apparently at that time one of the hardest jobs was being a
Oh,
police
I bet.
officer, especially with all of the crime that was going on, and mind you, like New Jack City, it came out for a reason. So this was one of those things where you
It's
were
like
trying to
7 years
promote.
before, 8 years before New Jack City, though.
Yeah, no, New Jack City. But what I'm trying to say is just that the marketing of the police at the time
Hmm.
was just something like, all right, their job is really hard. What would it be like if regular people joined them? So they made a comedy out of this whole situation. And what I can appreciate about it is just seeing people's evolution as they try things that they've never tried before, as far as
Gotcha.
joining the police academy and trying outside of themselves. One of my favorite parts was the chubby white guy that always got beat up.
Barbara.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, those guys came out and they were moving their stuff, which was hilarious because it was their own furniture. But then they kept messing with him. And then finally, they were all like, "You're not gonna shoot us. You're not gonna shoot some friends." And he's like, "No, I'm not gonna shoot you." But he pulls out his baton and whips all their asses. And mind you, it was just like a very like Danielson situation, and then the other one where Hightower learns how to drive, and then where the other girl learns how to drive. And mind you, everybody's just evolving, and even Kim Cattrall, like she gets into a situation where she's handling a gun and then shoots somebody because she's supposed to be this whole bougie chick. Like just how everybody evolves in this whole thing. I just find it interesting because it's relatable, at least was relatable at that time to certain people. The way that Mahoney flirted with Kim in the beginning, that was insane. Like when he just got up behind her and started pretending to be one of the officers and saying all of these things to her, and then and it was smooth as hell, right? But mind you, I think that nowadays nobody would definitely have the balls to do that. Because it was just people definitely had more balls to stepping up to women back then. Um, and I just found that whole slickness to be hilarious, hilarious when he did it. And I mean, there was it was really 80s cheese. So
It's definitely 80s
I
cheese.
went into it looking at it that way. You know what I mean? But then at the same time, like a lot of people put their feelings in movies,
Hmm.
unfortunately, and they don't necessarily just look at it like like all right, they put this out at this time and then it is what it is. It's more like all right, well, how do I interpret it and what does it make me feel? You know what I'm saying? So like I don't know if it would necessarily like with somebody that at least somebody that was born after 2000, I don't think it would hit at all. You know what I mean? Because there's just a lot of
Look at them laying
there's a lot
smiling.
of things there's a lot of things that is just not, you know what I mean? But I'm curious to see how it evolved because like I said before, I don't remember the rest of these
But do
movies.
you think it evolved? So watching it today, a movie that was made in 1984. My wife was 2. Okay,
No,
I
but
was 9.
mm,
What are you giving this
I
movie?
was
A
too.
thumbs up or a thumbs down?
Oh no, I'm giving it a thumbs up because I'm curious to see the rest. You know what I mean? But like it's just one of those things where it's like they were trying to be progressive then, and that was their example of progressivism.
Okay.
You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So now what that's evolved into is totally different to what progressivism was back then.
Doblin, go ahead, jump in there. You can give your head thumbs up and thumbs up with your final thoughts and retorts.
Okay.
Like you wanted to jump in there. That's why I went there. Like it was like, well, what you want?
I, some of the commentary I'm gonna keep to my internal thoughts because I think maybe I might read too much into all the pleas that were just copped. But I guess I can speak to the diversity of this film. That was pretty well executed. I really liked that. Again, I liked the concept of a Black woman applying not only to the police force in the 80s, but that she finds her voice and her agency through this whatever program. I do
He
appreciate.
fund the police academy.
I do. I mean, I do appreciate that it's a movie of its time, but like I said, other movies around that same time, the execution was more effective and better to me. Even with addressing racial tensions, it just it missed the mark for me. It wasn't funny. So if it's only cringe without the funny to it, it just makes it not, to me, not even worthy of a rewatch. Not definitely can't come out now and still be as prominent. Um, it's a thumbs down for me. I wasn't feeling this.
It's been a while since
Not
we've seen
at
a
all.
thumbs down from one
Yeah.
Miss Dopeland here.
I think I gave something else last month, but I don't remember what it was.
I you know what?
I immediately zero files.
I did not laugh at this like I did when I was a kid, to be honest and fair. Today's world that we've changed and we've evolved, like things that bother me, right? I hate the fact that someone made it famous, I'm being honest, off of Zach Morris's trash, the YouTube channel. Because growing up as a kid, we've always known Zach Morris was trash. That was nobody's hero. We just knew that's okay. No one, like, that's what gets me about the channel. The channel's like, well, this is you guys' heroes. No one ever said, oh, I want to be like Zach Morris. We knew what everything Zach did, we knew Zach did was bad. But we understood it's just TV, right? However, we've evolved from those times. And watching things, when you can't be an educated person and say, how do you spell cat? Right? It doesn't really spell dog or ogre. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. It doesn't sound the same. It can't be that way. So watching this, it wasn't as funny to me, all these years later. But damn it, I still enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie, because I remember it being enjoyable. And maybe it's the homer in me, and I know what's coming from the series. I know how important the series was, and I wasn't the biggest Police Academy guy like my father was, but I watched him. I remember him laughing out loud hysterically at this movie, and I guess this is the old man in me that says I'm still gonna give it a thumbs up, because it's still, for that time, was funny, although those same jokes didn't hit today. But I'll tell you this much, I still loved all the sexual innuendos. Okay, 100% with my man when he talked to Kim Cattrall about show me your thighs, attention, full face forward.
That was
amazing. And Bertier, whatever the chick, the lady sergeant, they're like, me next, I'm next. Because she had some really big, missiles up there. You know what I mean? Like, see, I grew up in childhood where we had a TV show, a cartoon called Transzord Z. You don't believe me? YouTube it, Google it. And she had a chick friend who was a robot. And she would say, Rocket 1, and her left boob would shoot out. I swear to God. And I'm watching as a kid say it's a cartoon, but her boob would go pew. So that was the 80s, right? And this movie is so 80s that I give it a thumbs up. I just have to like it because the world may be different. What do you say? The world is so very different now, but the 80s was the 80s. All right, and we can't always take anything from the 80s. If we do, we're going to hate movies that have some of the greatest lines of all time.
I'm not going to stand here and listen to this baloney.
He won't, He doesn't stand for baloney.
Weird Science wouldn't exist without the 80s.
Weird Science.
I'm excited for this.
Wow.
Weird Science still hits. Still hits, though.
I still watch Weird Science like once a year, so maybe
Weird Science is worth a rewatch.
I haven't seen that in a minute.
So maybe we should rewatch Weird Science.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I
we should
found
rewatch
hilarious?
Weird Science.
You know what was crazy about that time? The guy that was fourth generation, like Puerto Rican or something, lost his accent, but then put on an accent to
Mr.
get all of these chicks.
Ruben, he was like,
and mind you, like that was just indicative of like how blind people were to the rest of us. Like, it's just hilarious how he got away by getting all of those chicks and just with a fake ass accent. I found that to be,
He said, just some extra question. I feel like I was watching Kofi Kingston all over again for the wrestling fans out there, right? He said, I noticed every once in a while you lose your accent. Like, what's going on with that? He goes, oh, hell no, man. I'm fourth generation removed All American. It gets me the chicks. Like,
and all these chicks is falling for it. I'm just like, wow, really? That's hilarious. You just put on whatever fake like Tao Yang. Okay.
That was good. That was a good time. But listen, guys, check us out on Pop Review Entertainment. We'll be back. Police Academy is our new franchise for this month. Also, we got our, I don't know what the hell we call these things. Chris ain't even here to tell us what they are. So, but we got our football movies coming up, our genres for football movies. So we had themes, which is footballs, and then franchise, which is Police Academy. There it is. See there, Chris, before you go ahead and cut me out and edit me out, I fixed it. Listen, guys, we're going to get out of here. That is Vic. That is Dope Land. I am at Mike Knox. Follow, and subscribe to Pop Review Entertainment on every social media platform because you got it, we got it, and it's free. So just follow. It ain't like we have to go out buy us a plate in the kitchen, a church or something that costs you $10. It's free to hit follow. So follow, like, and subscribe. We out here, y'all. Peace.